Hello, my name is Nathan Hansen, and this is the Nathan Hansen Games How It's Made video for Niimura Station, specifically the Kickstarter edition. I'll probably do another video later for the post-Kickstarter version. When I do, it'll be linked below, but for now, we're doing the Kickstarter version. Alright, so basically this video I'm going to show you what equipment I use to make the game, and I'm going to go through the process of actually making one complete game, so it's probably a pretty long video. There'll be edited cuts, of course, so you're not seeing me just following a camera reposition and such. Okay. Main equipment you need a printer. I'm using a Pixma, a Canon Pixma. It is the IX6820. It prints at 600 dpi, which is a ridiculously high resolution for print, honestly, but it looks fantastic, so here we go. At least in my opinion. I also have a card cutter with K, spelled with K instead of C for some reason. I don't know if this is even made anymore, but basically this allows me to cut the cards. And then I have a card rounder. This is an Achilles Diamond 1, so it's all hand operated, and I have a guillotine style cutter over here. This I mainly use for making the box, and I've changed the way I make boxes for the post-Kickstarter version, so this is losing its value rapidly. I also have another cutter. This is the one I use for most everything else. It's I don't know what you call this style of cutter. It's just the rolly cutter. And this is a pretty cheap model to Fisker's. I don't know, maybe $10. $10 model. Yeah, and I think that's everything except for the stapler, which is just a stapler, but specifically it's designed for bookbinding. It's got a really big, long depth. It's adjustable. I don't want to adjust it, of course, because it's already adjusted. And other than that, regular stuff, scissors. This is for applying glue. It's actually for applying ink to for ink block printing, but I've used it for applying glue. Yeah, so that's all the major equipment. Other things, I have some bookbinding tape for the hinge on the board, and wooden bits for making jigs. Also some cardboard for the jigs, but yeah. So that's that. Moving on, paper. I use the brand's Verso, but basically what's important is that it is a gloss paper, and I have the same brand for both. It's just one of them is a cover stock or card stock essentially. It's 100 pounds, and the other one is a 70-pound text stock. I don't really know what they mean other than that the gloss stock seems to print better. It doesn't absorb as much ink into the paper, so it doesn't get fuzzy. But it also means it takes longer to dry, which is why I also have a fan here that I blow on to the print while I'm printing. Okay. That is the orbital view of the equipment. I'm not going to do a video of any part where I'm actually printing because it's just slow and loud, and I don't think anyone will get anything out of that because it's just printing. So everything's printed up already right here, and the cubes and wooden bits are already assembled. I don't think you need to watch me count either. But basically, I ordered the cubes and such from AliExpress.com. I don't remember what specific company in China that is, but you can go to AliExpress.com if you're looking for cubes and probably find. Okay, so this is the rulebook as it's printed. Essentially, I print it on a single sheet, double-sided, and I have a lot of red marks on it to indicate where I need to fold and cut to make it the final product. So this dotted line here allows me to fold, tells me to fold it in half at that point. And when I do, everything should line up. Right there. Like And I have some tools to make sure I get a nice even hold there. And when so that lines up perfectly there. Then next step is to bring this over. This is my rig. Hopefully you can see the whole thing on here. Actually, I'm going to adjust it by... This is the rig for how I get the staples in the right spot. Basically, it's just, I figured out that they always use the same spacing for that. All right. Bam. Okay, flip it around. Bam. And then fold along there, right where the staples are at. Hopefully you can actually see that there. I can't tell if it's... Oh. Alright. That's that. Don't need that jig anymore. Once that's cut, bring this over. And go ahead and line it up. I like to line it up along there just so I can sort of make sure it's consistent. Okay, it's a little bit eyeballed, but cut those off and then try to get this about the halfway point. There. So I got, basically I tried to make sure that it was measured evenly, and it's a little eyeball, but that is a rulebook. Actually, it looks like I messed it up a little bit and pulled it out a little bit there. Hopefully I didn't do that in any of your copies, but I may have, if I'm being honest. So, there you go, one rulebook. Okay, so this is how we make the boxes. So basically, we adjust this bar here to be at a good stopping point. I think I have it at just over here. Yeah, it's just over 9.5 inches. Now, and okay, I don't want to put it all the way over because if it does, as this thing cuts, it kind of pushes it this way a little bit and it'll actually dent that corner, so I don't put it all the way over. Get it nice and flush up against that. There, yeah, you can see that good. And then this clamps it down. Right over. Shaking the whole camera. Sorry about that. Okay, so that shouldn't move, but it will a little bit because it's just how it works. And bring these all the way up. See how it moves just a little bit. And I gotta put a lot of pressure on this. Part of the reason I don't want to keep using this method. Didn't go all the way through. Jeez. Very good either. Okay, I'm not sure I went all the way through. Yep. Yeah, it didn't go all the way through. But it's good enough for me to get with an X-Acto. So, a little off camera, sorry about that. In theory, I could get just this better and cut cleaner, but I've had a hard time with it, and it cut better when I initially got it, and I suspect I just worn it real fast. So I don't think it was really designed for the amount of cardboard I put through it. So, hence the reason I wanted to go a different method, but this is the method that was used for the Kickstarter, so I wanted to make sure I showed it. Okay, so that's the first cut, and I do the same thing again for the second cut. Get a nice square. It helps I rotate this the right way. Okay. Okay. Come on, go through. Yeah, that one went through. Good. Okay. Make sure that's latched so the blade doesn't come down. Okay. There we go. And that gives us basically the top of the box. Still have to basically do that one more time with another board, which I need to get out. Only for the bottom one, because it's supposed to be a little bit smaller, I take, ideally I'd have a couple more of these, but right now I only have the two, the one I cut off and the other half of that board. Take those and I put them here as a little bit of a spacer to wedge against here. So that's just enough space so that it'll be the right size to have a two-part box will close. Okay. Alright. And I repeat that process, although I probably should have been a little further away, but we'll see what happens. I don't know if you can see my pads in here now, so you might come to the camera. See, I got a little too far up that way, so it's all messed up. Let's try that again. Well, I could just use this size of the box, so yeah, that's fine. Trying to make sure I do as much of this on camera. I would do this ideally on a cutting board, but I want to make sure I do as much on camera as I can. Okay, and then for the other side, gotta do the same thing again. And this time I actually do have, I only have the two things, but here's the two larger ones. Make sure I'm a little further away this time so that it doesn't have the same issue. Nice and clamped. Oop, that was not sure. There we go. So now at the bottom of the box. Make sure it latches. Safety does not latch as well as I would like. I have to manually do it every time. It's supposed to, when you bring it up, automatically latch. But, you know, it doesn't. Alright, so now, you can see I have two ideally perfect squares. I'm not sure if they actually are, but they should be. That are one slightly smaller than the other so that they'll fit inside the other. Cool. Now the next thing to do, take those cut off bits before, and we're going to cut those to be the sides of the box. Alright. And I'm trying to remember how tall I had those before. I think they were 1.5 inches. So I'm going to adjust this to 1.5 inches. So there's a little ruler indicator on the side here. If I didn't say that before, I don't remember for sure. That's right. That one. It's very kind of hard to get at this angle right here. Alright, there we go. Again, same thing. You just kind of don't want to go all the way over because it'll bump up against this. But get there, clamp it down. Rotate this in the right way to actually clamp it down. And there we go. Cut through. First one cut pretty easily. Bottom one never does. If I was doing more than one copy of the game right now, I would do a bunch of these so I could cut through most of them easily, and maybe the bottom one might just be a sacrifice. But since I'm only doing one game, I don't really want to do that because it's very wasteful. Okay. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. And what I'll do, because I'm cutting this edge like this and it's not as clean to a cut, is I'll actually put this edge, I'll hide that edge effectively. So, oh, it's not going to matter, it's all going to be covered. Okay. That's not the right one. That is. Okay. So now I have 2 of the 8 I need. And I repeat that process, and I'll probably do some magic editing right now, but maybe not, to do that. Okay, so now we have the right depth for all of the 8 pieces. Technically, I still need to get the right width. So we go back over to that 9. Okay. I'm going to use the original as a spacer to make sure I get the right width here. It's here, may as well. And put the clamp all the way down. Actually, I don't put the clamp down. Sorry. Brain. That blade down so I can put it against the blade. Okay, clamp that down. Put it back up. And that was for the larger of the two. All the way up. Put these against that as much as I can. I'm going to want to use some of my scrap from before to make a little spacer, because it's going to want to push in here, but I want to have it, make sure it's as flush as possible. So let's get a couple of pieces. There we go. Then clamp that down. Now there's probably better ways to do this. I'm not going to pretend I'm come up with the best possible way to make a box. I haven't. But it's the way I came up with, so that's what I'm showing off. Alright. And those cut nice and easily. Nice. Cool. Fun part. And now we'll be moving the video to a different place for that part. Okay, so now we have the bits assembled. So the way to make it so that this all works is we're going to tape the tops here so that they overlap. Don't want to stick it to the table, I just want to have it just on the top. Do it on all 4 sides. Probably could have gone a little further that way than that one, but whatever, doesn't matter. Just gotta go over the edge. Okay. All right. New. Then I flip it all over, because the next part is important. You use these spacers to get it just the right distance away, so that when it's all said and done and pulled up, it'll be just on top, like so. And it's more rigid that way, because when this pushes against this, it's not going to just rip. There may be better ways to do this. This is the way I know. So do that on all 4 sides, then on both top and bottom. Okay, and I'll probably speed this video up a little bit since I'm sure it gets a little tedious to watch this, but I do want to show the whole process. Okay. I could have made that one a little bit. No more tape on the side, but it's fine. It's all going to get covered with. Yeah, okay. Glue and paper at some point, so it's not end of the world if it's not perfect. Try to make sure I don't put my head in front of the camera either, since, you know, you're trying to watch what I'm doing. Hopefully I didn't do that at all. I don't know if I did or not. Alright. There we go. Alright, and then once all those are in place, you just fold them up. So, try to make sure it's all on top. I want to get that rigidity. I want to make sure it's not okay. Nice rigidity. Alright, and then once they're all in place, put a little bit of tape on the edges to keep the corners together. So, you don't need a lot, just enough. Like so. Okay. Right, just like that. And that is one part of the box. And that's specifically the top of the box. And you repeat the process with the other half. I'll switch to this side for this because it's slightly easier. Hopefully I don't run out of batteries while I'm doing this, because I do know this battery life was rather low. Okay. All right. And again, get these spacers in place so that you can get these in place. And I probably should have cut these ones down a little bit more because I forgot that. Slight mistake on my part. I forgot that these are cut to that size. yeah, that's gonna be a problem. So what I should have done, and I didn't do, is when I was cutting these, I should have taken 4 of them and put another spacer to get the right length here, because I made it go a little too long. Yeah, so I'm gonna probably end up having to cut those by hand now at this point. But I'll keep going the process now to just do the whole process, and you can see the mistakes. This isn't to be making me look good, it's to show the whole process. So there we go. That one. I may actually grab a different box for the final thing. This is just so how it's made. I make sure a different one to actually that I already have assembled in the room. There were extras from previous for the actual wrapping. You gotta get it all the way up against it. Very easy to not do these all the way up. See, I could get that a little crooked, but it'll still be fine. It's a little finagling is all. All right. Put those two together. Get a chunk here. Yeah, see, this is where I have a problem. So I'm gonna take some scissors and I'm gonna try to correct it. Not a perfect process. That'll work. Do a little bit of eyeballing to this. Okay. Let's get one more corner left to do. This might actually have worked out. Alright, here you go. Now let's see if it actually closes. Yes, I made a lip, didn't quite get it right, but I can force it. And there we go. One box. Okay, so the next part of this for making the box is to actually trim these down a little bit. These are the actual art for the box, of course. So I'm just going to trim these a bit because you don't need all of it. And basically I'm just cutting it. I should probably do one at a time. I could probably do both, but I don't need to. But basically I'm just cutting it down to just edge of art. Pretty self-explanatory, but better to show. Oh, it looks like this got damaged a little bit, but it'll still be fine for showing the process. Okay. Those stupid trash. Okay. There we go. Trash. Okay. To make sure I'm not overlapping anything else. Alright, that's that. Alright, now we get to the fun bit. Or, I guess, fun being a creative use of the word. Okay, so now we're gonna glue these to the actual box. So we're gonna have one of these at a time. So we'll start with the bottom of the box. Oh, and you may have noticed this is not the same box we made earlier because I made a mistake when I was making the box earlier. I should have used basically the thickness, the difference in size between the two. I should have used 4 pieces of cardboard to get the thickness so it would close properly, and so slight change, but you can. So, anyways, that's the issue with that. Okay, so the way this works, I'm going to apply glue to this box, specifically white glue, a very thin layer, and basically center it on here and fold it, and yeah, it's pretty much as complicated as it gets. But let's get this glue open. Alrighty, right there. Pour a little glue here. That's way more than I'll probably need, but thankfully this particular glue is pretty cheap. And this is just Elmer's white glue. So, like, okay. Alright. Now use this here. Spread this out and get a nice thin layer. Alright. Cover it as well as I can. Alright, that. And then you may have noticed I printed on the back as well. So basically, nice. Dang it. Basically where I think you're supposed to go. So it just allows me to get this placed as centered as I can. I try to just fit it inside the little box here. As close as center as I can. And then I use these to apply pressure. Alright, that's that. And I have it nice and flat. Much there as I can. Cool. Next, I continue the process by getting more glue around like so. It's not a perfect process. It's hard to get down with this tool, at least, all the way to the edge, but it's enough to get it to work. All right. Yeah. Then, using this tool again, scraper, pick a side, and bring it up. Alright. And whichever side I chose, I gotta get this a good shot of this. Try to get this to fold up as much as possible to where it's up. It's a little 45 degree there. I should have actually done this side first before I did that, because you've got to do them both at the same time. So, that tool. Alright. Then get a nice 45 here. And try to press from the middle out to get it nice and as few wrinkles as possible. Part of the reason I went away from this method is it's hard to get rid of all the wrinkles. And the wrinkles do come across to me as being somewhat subpar on the quality. Alright. Okay, so that, get as much of the wrinkles out as you can. Alright. Now, the next step is these have to fold back in a little bit so that they, and of course it has to be glued down. So, I now apply the glue like so, just a little ways, try to get just a little bit down because you don't want to put too much glue all over the place. And you gotta go all around getting it, try not to get in there like I almost did just now. But just get a little glue all around. I like to get a little bit in the flaps as well, just so that they're more likely to seal nicely. Okay. Cool. And then you just fold it over. Alright. Fold it over, apply some pressure. Do opposite sides first. And then these sides, over it again. Alright, looks like I could apply a little more glue on that side, but it is. Alright, and then, I do this at this angle, it's a little weird. Just get a little bit more pressure with the tool here to make sure it's all down. Particularly on these sides because they tend to build up a little bit. May need to put a little more glue there, looks like. I could show you how to do that. Pull it nice and tight. Okay, now, so it looks like this didn't get enough glue underneath there. So I'm going to take one of these. This is part of why I have two of them, but I'm just going to use this one for now. Take a little bit more. Spread it right there and kind of let it get underneath there so I can get it flat. A little bit more in there too. Okay. Oh, that side too. Alright, now that'll have to dry a little more, but that's fine. Alright, so then that is the bottom. Set that aside, let it dry, and do the same thing for the top. And it is exactly the same process, so I'll probably speed up the video here. But just in case I don't, I'll still talk a little bit. If anything comes up. Okay. Alrighty, let's not have any detritus on there. Okay, and just kind of loosely line it up as best I can. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. And continuing around. I think this time I'm just going to do the opposite sides first. Get a nice even distribution. Okay. Alright. There we go. Nice and smooth. Okay. Okay. Get the 45s. Let's try to get better than that. Okay. There's not a lot to talk about while I'm doing this, unfortunately. So it's, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to speed up the camera here. But literally just folding at this point. I'm trying not to get any major weird bubbles or anything from the glue. There will almost certainly be at least some though, because, well, it's white glue and it dries that way. It's not the best glue in the world to use, but it's the only glue I was able to get to do this with well while inside. Yeah. Okay, so now we do this part. Also, my glue doesn't dry so fast that I can't take my time with it. It gives me enough time to do stuff like the whole thing instead of do small pieces at a time. Okay. Okay, that's that. Okay. Make sure you can see this while I'm doing it. Squeeze it all out. Again, it may not be the best method, but it's the best method I was able to come up with for this. All right, there's that. Let that dry. Well, okay, so boom. Slightly misaligned there. Ta-da! That's a box. So I'm going to take it apart while it dries for now, but that's how it all goes together. And it's going to take a little while for the glue to dry though, so I don't want to glue together. That would probably be a problem. Alright, so go ahead and put this over here and move on to the next thing. Okay, so the next step is we are going to prep the cards. So I have a whole bunch of sheets here of cards. And to make sure I cut them all in exactly the same spot, because I got to cut these pages in half, I have it wedged against this board here that's flat, and I have this one holding them all clamped down in place. So in theory, and actually in practice, it keeps it rather stable. I just align this. I just line this up with that line there, and cut them all in half. Pretty simple stuff. Several passes to make sure I get all the way through. Like I have there. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to do that. Okay. remember correctly, it would go through fine that way, but not that way. Yes, that's right. So I have to trim it down a little more because it's a little too, this distance here is too wide now. So now I have to do the same thing where I get it nice and flush here. Clamp tight. And I'm going to cut that spot there. And I'll do the same thing on the other side too. So it's going to be very tight. Okay, just like so. And make sure I do several passes to get all the way through. Try not to cover up the camera if I can. I don't think I've gotten all the way through yet. But I'm starting to crimp there, so let me see if I can't pull some of these up. Yeah, that's not a clean cut. That did not get as clean as I would like. Okay. That is unfortunate. Especially on camera. Okay. Still cutting something. Okay. This last bit didn't get cut. Dang. So clearly I would like a better alternative for this as well. And I'm playing with a die press, but I don't have it quite tuned in just yet. So, okay. Repeat this, come on, around to this side. And I gotta do the same thing again. Kind of slow, but I'm gonna see if I can't do it on this side so you can see it better. I mean, the shadow's in just the wrong spot for this side, but unfortunately I can't really move where the light is in this room. Oh, whole thing moved, that's not good. Move the whole thing down now. Okay, there we go. Alright, so that's that part. And the next part is taking these pieces here and putting them in the card cutter. So that'll be the next bit of film. Alright. Okay, so this is my card cutter. As you can see, it is rather yellowed from age. I've had this for a long time, using it mostly for prototypes. Basically the way it works, it has a little crank here, and it's got, I don't know how well you'll be able to see in there, given the light, but it's got various blades in there. And basically, you run them through. It's got a first pass and a second pass, and then put cards. They won't have rounded corners yet, but we'll fix that later. So I'm gonna position this where I think it's somewhat easy to see. Hopefully, and still got to make sure I have room in the front for the cards to come out, of course. And I'm gonna get the other side, because that's what a crank is. Alright. And basically, the way you do this is you go through this for the second pass. So, first pass, and you got to make sure you do your best to line up these to cut at the blades, which can be difficult. Okay, that's where the blade is there. That's where the blade is there. I think it's lined up on that side. Hopefully I don't mess this up too badly. We're on camera here. Run it through. And yeah, I'm a little off there, but comes out. Get rid of the waste bits. Yeah, I need to move it. It looks like that this way towards me just a little bit, because I mean that card is just gonna be garbage. But it's gonna tweak that over just a little bit. Put that in, bring that over to match, and run it through. And of course, if you're doing a whole bunch of these, it would be all lined up. You'd make the corrections and they'd be lined up over the course of all. But in this particular copy I'm making, I have issues with those three, with that first group of cards. I'm just going to have to accept and deal with. Alright, so you do this with all of them. Pretty simple stuff. Obviously this generates a lot of excess trash here. Try not to have too much of it build up. The way I have the cards laid out, I do end up with one extra sheet. I've been making these and ending up with some blank prototyping cards, so I'll go ahead and do that now too. Since I'm showing the process I have been using, I may as well show the whole process. These ones go up here. Alright. The second half, I don't believe this. Yeah, I gotta have to. Unfortunately, I did not cut perfectly, so the second half is going to be a little bit adjusted. I think on that side out. Let me see if I can get a better angle over here to look. That looks about right there. Hopefully I get it right. We'll find out in a second. That looks pretty good to me. Maybe just a little bit, but it's good enough for what I'm showing. Actually, that was not as good as I would like. Yeah, gloss a lot more on that side. So these aren't actually cut as well as I would like. Apologies for that. But it does show the process, and that's really what this video is about. Ooh, yeah, that is really bad. I coughed purple entirely there. Not sure how that happened. But again, this is why I need a better process. And that happened, of course. Okay, so that's that. Now I have this nice stack of long sheets for the second pass. Okay, get rid of all this trash real quick. And start the second pass. Now, the great thing, the second pass, is they actually are at least all exactly the same width. There won't be any adjustments once I have it right. So, second pass, you bring this down. Go ahead and drop that in, and it should already be adjusted right spot if I don't think I've moved this at any time. That should be about right. And again, just crank the thing, and it goes through. And voila, cards. Set these over here. The extra ones I don't need go over there. That did not look like it was actually right though, because I should not have had any art under, I don't think. It's good enough though. Very simple process. I'll probably be speeding through a lot of this just so you're not watching every card being made. But getting the gist of how it functions. So this is gonna be a real long video if I show everything. I gotta speak to the camera sometimes. Sort of a slow process, but it does get the job done. It's also an awkward angle to do this at, so I can make sure you see all on camera. Usually I'd be where the camera is, not on the side like I am. Makes it a little awkward. And I'm gonna not do this actually. Okay, so there you have one deck with sharp corners next step is, of course, cleanup, but I'll edit that out. Okay. Oh, maybe not that. Next step is to do the corner rounding. That's another machine I have over here. Okay. Move that all aside. Get the tool out. See how well you can see this one here. Okay, I gotta make sure you're nice. Good look at that. Okay. So I can't get the whole deck in here because it's just too thick. So I gotta divide it up in at least in two, probably thirds, but we'll do two for. And then I can fit it there. Okay. You take that there, wedge it nice and tight in there, and bring that down. Oh, make sure you put a finger up here to keep them going up. And repeat. We didn't cover too much of it just now because that was kind of an awkward angle. Actually get all of it there. Okay, that last card there didn't quite get gotten, but I'll finish that with a pass from the other side. All right, so that one I will do a second pass from here. Okay. And again, normally I would be where the camera is rather than off to the side. Makes it an awkward angle to work at, but it does still get the job done. Okay, there we go. Probably should have not stacked it like so. Alright, now you have nice rounded corners. And that's how the card's made. Okay, so next we're going to make the actual game board. So what you need for the game board, what I need for the game board. Okay, so next we're going to make the actual game board. What you need is the actual printout, of course, a piece of cardstock with some tape placed. Essentially a cloth tape, bookbinding tape, makes the hinges stronger where it's going to fold. So, all right, and you need a backing of some type. I'm using this textured black paper. Yeah, not really sure what it's called. It's like canvas texture paper for that. And you need a way to glue it. I could not manage to get any other glue than a spray adhesive to work. I tried with wood glue, or I tried with the Elmer's glue, and it never worked well. I tried with various types of sticks, etc. It never worked well. Unfortunately, the spray tack stuff is sort of a nightmare to do inside. So usually I've done this outside. This is the first time I'm really trying to do it inside, because I don't want to get glue everywhere. But since I'm only doing one copy, I think it's worth trying it and doing the risk. So, also I can't really film this outside, it'd be too noisy. So, here's what we're gonna do. We'll put this down here. Move these over here. Make sure I get my alignment correct. Okay, so that's up here. All right, I'll have to clean this undone, but here we go. Get my glue open, maybe, if it will open. Can't do this on camera, of course. Okay. Shake the can. Come on. Oh, that's spraying the wrong way. That's not good. My organs are over here. Why did it come out the side like that? Don't like that. Okay, give it a nice even coat. I really should have a window open, but I don't have one open right now. That's whew. Okay, do that. And then you take this and you hinge that way. Right? Yeah. Kind of forgot how I did this before. Try to get this basically as centered as you can. And hopefully not mess it up completely, because you can't really see the side. Again, use one of these scrapers. As much, get it as flat as possible. Hopefully get rid of any air. Take these, fold them up at a 45. So that it's, yep, just like so. Use a tool where you can, or if you have trouble picking it up. All right, and then fold it all over. Just like so. I feel like I may have gone a little, yeah, I went way too high on this side. This is gonna be a terrible board, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is not centered. This is not one I would actually send out, but it's still gonna show the process of how they're made, which is what this video is about, so. Okay, so that's a little high on this side because the text is bleeding over, but yeah, didn't quite get it centered, but that's basically how the board is first covered. Then you gotta do the same thing with the backing. Put it roughly in the center here. So, okay. It shouldn't matter which side of this you do, because the back, in this case, the backing is textured the same on both sides. Okay. Take the backing, and I'm actually going to move this thing so I don't have to worry about it anymore. You take the backing and you apply it centered on here, like so. And again, using the scraper tool, get it as flat and bubble free as possible. All right. Okay, that's that. Next step is, of course, cutting this in a way so that you can fold it. Okay. And that is where these come in and why they're there. So that I do not cut all the way through when I'm cutting this. So. So the next part of this, I gotta get this measurement right, which is a little difficult to do. So I'll simply set up the jig for that, and I'll do the next video. Okay, so this is basically a two-step process with two separate jig setups. Jig is maybe not the right term, but this is the term I'm using. Jig actually would imply that it's a tool I have pre-assembled, use it over again. I don't, I just can't do this. So the way it works, I have a spacer here that is clamped to the table, and the clamps also act as a stop for this. The spacer is a stop for the board, and the clamps are a stop for the actual cutter. So I put them in place. The spacers on the bottom of the actual cutter make sure that I can't go all the way through that there. So I make sure they're lined up over the top of the board, and I make sure it's screwed in all the way, and I cut. Okay, and if I did that right, when I pull this over, it should fold nicely. And it doesn't go all the way through, and it goes into the cloth hinge there. So it's nice and even. Now I have to do the same thing with a slightly different arrangement for this to cut this way, but with it face down, so that I can not go all the way through here, then fold it and cut the rest of the way here. Sort of a weird process, but let me set up for that one now. Okay, so this is set up for the second cut. Basically, to get these in the right position, I have an 8.5 inch little cut template that I slide in here, adjust, and again slide in over the other side and adjust, and clamp these down to a position where this is in the right spot. Hopefully this works since it's on camera. Okay. Alright, and I probably want to make sure I'm cutting the right side, because I need to cut with the board face down. I almost made a huge mistake there. Would have been fun. Okay. Okay, there we go. That folds in half like that. But what I really need to do is make sure it cuts all the way through here. So, fold like so. Again, line it there. Again, make sure these are lined up, pressed against there. Give it one final cut here. And that should be a fully folding. I'm slightly off on this measurement, but that is the process. How you get the boards. We have the boards. Okay, so this is all the components and the box and ready for final assembly. Final assembly is pretty simple, of course. You just simply take the stuff, put it in here. And the lid, put it on top. And voila! That is the final product. I hope this was helpful for anybody out there who wanted to figure out how to make a board game.